Hey everybody! Thank you for joining another live stream. This is the end of the Every Tribe, Denomination, and Tongue event. We had a blast. We grew a lot together. I had a lot of spiritual renewal. I am beyond thankful for everyone at this table and our audience of one, or audience of two, if we including Jesus, I assume. Yeah.
And everyone who's gone through and watched these later on.
Yeah, everyone who's watched it later on or watched it while we're live. We're just so thankful for all of you guys and the opportunity to do this. And really, I feel like I've done a lot of spiritual growth just in the last couple of days. But rather than just to have sappy, tearful moments that we're probably going to have eventually of how much I'm going to miss these guys and wish we could do this all the time, rather than that, we decided we're going to end the event with something fun for the live stream. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was all fun, but this is going to be more exclusively fun than spiritual and deep. We have everyone here and our audience have written down at least 3 little questions that we're going to make a big deal out of. Told everybody 2 non-biblical ones. So stuff like, how much do I tip at the restaurant? And then 1 biblical one. So, stuff like, why did they decide Jesus wept needed to be an entire verse? Verses are arbitrarily chosen. Why couldn't they have chosen a whole longer section than that? That seems kind of weird, right? So, yeah, little questions, and we're going to make a big deal out of it. We're going to do this, hopefully, for about 42 minutes. Brandon's got a clock. We're not going to get to all the questions. The longest we will go, though, is 3 minutes.
All right. Welcome to Big Little Questions. I promised I would say it at least once. It's a good day to be a Tar Heel here in Chapel Hill.
It sure isn't.
Why are there silkworms? They are so annoying.
I picked this question for you specifically. I wanted to ask.
Okay. What do you mean? What do you mean? They're silkworms. Okay. They exist.
I hate them. They get in your hair. They get all over you. Like you're hiking and boom, silkworm.
Yeah,
you can never see them.
Walking under trees.
Well,
also look better.
Why do they exist? Like, is there like a reason we can't just eliminate silkworms? What is their function?
There's not necessarily a reason for anything to exist.
Yeah, but I mean, do they actually contribute to the ecology of the area at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
How?
They are food.
Why? Can't things just eat something else?
People died to get those silkworms.
Yep.
You know what? I would die to get rid of them.
How are you going to get bed sheets?
I don't need them.
Where do you think they get the silk from?
I'll sleep on the dirt. I hate silkworms.
Next question. Should we still read the King James Version? Christian.
This is Brandon's question.
I wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, yeah. We're saying who wrote it. So that.
I mean, speaking of someone who's used it in this podcast in the past, I say yes, because it's still usable. It's not my favorite. It's not what I'm going to turn to the first. But if I want to see a verse in a specific way, read it a specific way, absolutely yes.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake, I'm not anti-KJV. I just wanted to see what everyone said.
Should we tip at self-checkout? Brandon.
I don't, and I guess if everybody wants to cancel me for it, go right ahead. If it's a situation where it's like a coffee shop, I would rather throw money in the tip jar personally. I don't know why. I feel like I'm actually doing something when I throw it in the tip jar, whereas hitting it on the screen just feels a little impersonal. Yeah. I'd rather them, like in that episode of Seinfeld where George is trying to get the guy's attention when he's given the tip. Like, I'd rather be obnoxious than just tap a screen.
Yeah. And then if you have to tap the screen, that means they're getting taxed on it, which is pretty lame. So,
that's true.
Next question. In Harry Potter, why are there no spells to give people superpowers? This is a viewer question. Joshua.
Weren't the rules that you had to answer every 4th one?
I answered the first one.
Oh, yeah, you sure did. Dang.
Yeah,
I don't want to answer this, though.
Tough.
Because spells basically are a superpower in this. Why would they need more?
That's what potions are.
Good one.
Yeah.
What is the best beginner anime or manga?
Do you want me to go ahead? What do you want?
This is my turn.
Oh, okay. Oh, it is now?
Yeah.
This very organized structure
you've all
we have?
been since then.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
That's true. Full Metal Full Metal Alchemist or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
That was my answer.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's unanimous, I'd like to say. All right, next question. Why did Ezra and Nehemiah split into 2 books?
Of
Christian?
course. If I remember correctly, it's because of it once being one book in the Jewish canon, but then later on, I believe in the 1600s, especially, they started splitting it off to differentiate the stories of Ezra and the stories of Nehemiah to show how God was working this way here, then God worked several years later here in this regard.
I like that.
It's still one book in most Hebrew canons. Christians were just like, what if we just divided it by name, even though it's a single story? I'm annoyed.
Because
Not
they're
as much as
distinctly
Silkworm.
different.
Now
looks
we
like.
have an even number of books in the Bible versus odd.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good reason.
So,
But then we could have canonized something cool like Bell and the Dragon or something
Or-
to make up that 66.
We,
Anyway. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a bad example. So Tobit.
canonized Enoch. Enoch could be canonized.
Enoch should be canonized.
Combine Ezra and Nehemiah,
Oh,
recanonize Enoch.
You're those people. Okay. I would like my question now.
The writers
Next
of the Bible thought that Enoch
question.
was the Bible.
Next question. Why
Jesus did.
do people care
Why do people care?
about the original purpose of Stonehenge? Brandon?
Why do people care about the original purpose of Stonehenge? That's an interesting question. I don't know, so I'm just going to speculate a
my
little bit because I would have to assume that it has something to do with paganism roots. And if you, I guess I should clarify, if you listen to my podcast, you know that when I say paganism, I'm not trying to make a slam. That's like literally like paganism as a religion. So I'm sure it has some type of like paganism roots, and people find it fascinating because neo-paganism thing I talked about at an earlier panel. One of my future doctoral plans is to maybe study Lovecraftian horror. Another one is to have a more thorough understanding of what the Bible has to say on like occult practices and paganism and apply it to neo-paganism in the future. But again, that's like 10 years from now.
I will say we learned in the documentary Jackie Chan Adventures that Stonehenge can actually summon aliens, but they left before they could see the aliens.
This has been the funniest question yet because every time I think about it, I'm like, man, yeah, someday someone just watched one and went, wait a minute, rocks don't do that. And we've all made a big deal of it ever since.
It's the rocks. Who cares?
But rocks don't do that.
Doesn't want to find the truth unless you're part
So-
of the reptilian cabal.
Next question. Who is the angel of the Lord, Joshua?
That is not a little question.
It's not.
Oh, it's a little question.
The angel of the Lord could be several different things. I am no expert, so I can't say. It does seem like it's alluded to that the angel of the Lord is equal with God, so I think you could easily make an argument that that is Jesus before his personification. But I don't think you need to make that argument. I think you could just let it be a character and just take the meaning of the stories and stop harping on these things. Yeah.
That was Christian's question.
Oh, except for Christian. He's very wise to do that.
Yeah. So, next question is the second beast in Revelation, the Leviathan. This is from Joshua. I also don't think this is a little question.
It's kind of a yes-no deal,
Did
really.
you want this
No.
one, TJ? No.
I already
Okay.
did it.
Oh, you already did. Well, there you go.
What? Wait a minute. Why no?
That question didn't specify why.
I want to know why you think.
That's tough. You said it's a yes or no question.
Fair.
Is it a problem to be too accepting?
Absolutely.
That's my question.
Yeah. I mean, the idea being, so well, if you're too accepting, you're just letting anyone in to church that it would more than likely take advantage of the scenario. I mean, just in general,
Mhm.
not even just a church. Like, there are people we should always be willing to say, okay, what are your motivations? Why do you want to be around me? Is it because you want to be my friend? Not in a conspiratorial, like, I can't trust anyone,
I don't know. Sounds a little.
X-Files kind of way, but in like a, but in that sense of like, I need to be on guard. I'm told to be on guard so that I can protect me and mine
Right.
and protect this person who may be wanting to harm me.
Right. On guard, repulsed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We're on the same wavelength.
Yes.
So why doesn't anyone think the church benefits from the separation of church and state? Brandon.
That's not a little question. Why doesn't anyone think that the
Teach.
church benefits from the separation of church and state? I'll go hot take answer, and this is one of my favorite hot take answers. It is because Christians in America love to feel persecuted, even though we're not. Things are just kind of uncomfy every once in a while. And if you need to have that fact checked, literally read anything about actual martyrs. We are not under persecution. And so I would say, yeah, you might get into a certain political space or a certain where it's like, oh, things aren't quite working out the way I would like to. You're not being persecuted. Some Christians have been persecuted in America. I think we still, there's a difference though between things being uncomfortable or maybe a light, sometimes at work, people would come by and leave tracts around the store, and then people would start to kind of poke fun at Christianity and poke fun at me. That's not persecution. It was uncomfortable, and it made me go, wow, all this work I have been putting into being a testimony has completely had the rug pulled out underneath me. I digress. So, yes, that is what I have to say about the separation of church and state and church.
Okay.
My answer would be people just don't know the history of why we came to America. Yeah, they just don't get that. Literally, state controlling the church is why people fled
Yeah.
a lot of European
Yeah.
countries.
So, Josh, this is going to be yours.
Okay. Now, this is Will's question.
Will dogs ever grow into conscious beings like Chewbacca? He also spelled conscious wrong.
Fun fact. Will can't spell.
He can't.
Well, I certainly hope they don't become
Chewbacca's?
Chewbacca's.
He also meant sentient.
You don't
Yeah.
want them to be sapient.
I don't want them to be Wookiees. Just having talking dogs around, just chilling. If they were like Cosmo in the Guardians holiday special or Guardians 3, it'd be pretty entertaining. I don't know if they'd ever evolve into that. I don't think they would. But I could see us creating technologies because humans just love little puppies so darn much.
Yeah, I would like to say no, probably not. Personally.
Also, it's a strong chance that we create the technology for them to do that and realize, yeah, we don't want to know what they have to say.
Yeah, it's a lot more likely that bears are
They're
going to
less
do that,
cute now.
actually. Yeah. So, next question. This one is for me to answer. Also, I wrote it. Why do people still pretend that Roanoke is a mystery? Those people did not disappear. The governor was gone for 3 years, first of all. He didn't just like go out to get something and come back. Dude was gone for 3 years. Came back, saw the word
just wanted to go on a rant.
Croatoa or whatever. The name of the Indian tribe that lived nearby.
Croatoan.
Yeah, Croatoan.
Ah.
And it's just not a mystery. That was carved into a tree. The Croatoan tribe, when he got back, had little pale kids with blue eyes.
Well, TJ, as someone over there, part of the deep state, who wants these things to be brought into the darkness, to stay in the darkness, I am very against what you have to say.
I'm sorry.
We should bring this truth into the light. They were taken by aliens. Okay. The Croatoan alien tribe came down. They tried to warn us, but they've been abducting us for years. We have you to blame for not bringing out the truth.
I'll fight everyone. Point being, not a mystery. Croatoan tribe took in those settlers. They were fine.
We're making a really
If
big
that
deal out
is
of
the
this.
type of questions we could have written down, I should have asked what everyone thinks happened to the wife of the Church of Scientology. What
Dead.
happened to the woman? To what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Miscavige. Yeah. What happened to his wife? Because that's yeah.
Alive but not well.
Hey, TJ, you know how you say you don't have pet peeves?
Mhm.
This really sounds like it might be a pet peeve of yours.
No, it's just dome.
Oh, okay.
Next question. If an asteroid full of kryptonite crashes to Earth, what
Yeah.
powers do you think each of us would have?
That's definitely
real,
right?
That was an Austin question.
Okay.
Viewer at home.
well-
We can all take a whack at it.
Yeah, canonically.
It'd give us cancer.
Yeah, yeah, canonically, that's what it does to human beings. Unless there are very special situations like Metallo, where it's used as his heart, and he's also created into a cyborg, which you don't have the technology for. We don't have Lex Luthor around to make things like that. So super
why
cancer
it's
is what
us.
we would develop. He's not there yet. You have something you want to add, Joshua?
Ever since I was a young lad,
Kryptonite's not what gives people the powers. It's being from
I
Krypton.
watched the superhero cartoon on Saturdays and questioned Lex Luthor's methods every week, saying it should just be so easy to beat this guy. He's allergic to a rock. And I just, just kryptonite bullets, kryptonite gunpowder, like just literally make your entire building out of kryptonite. You're rich, dude. No, wait. Wait.
No.
I was 5. I'm allowed to have whatever opinion I want as a 5-year-old.
Not true.
That's what
As an
Superman
adult,
wants you to think.
depending on what kryptonite I have, it's going to give me the power to
Brandon
fight
has something to
Superman.
say, and then
Screw that
we're
guy.
moving on.
I will play along. I will look past canon for a second because Christian is all very much technically right. But due to the fact that I loved the TV show Smallville when I was a middle schooler, I would really like to come into contact with some red kryptonite because that's when he was really cool. Also a bad person, but really cool. So
Right. The
That's
Venom
for you,
symbiote,
audience.
Red kryptonite. Carnage.
The
So-
kryptonite could make me Lex. I'll become bald at one point.
Yeah.
kryptonite.
Moving on. Moving forward, we have another question from Christian.
Wonderful.
If you could return to that one place you enjoyed that no longer exists, where would it be?
Return. Is it? This is me,
Now
right?
you're holding the mic. Might as well.
Might as well be. So, what is that one place I would return to that I can't anymore? Well, one time I went into this wardrobe and,
Age past it.
let's see here. Oh man, I gotta think. There was okay. Here's a nice silly one. I do remember when I was a kid, there was a mini golf course that my grandparents would take me to every time that I spent the night at their house. It is no longer open anymore, but I had a lot of fond childhood memories when I would go to my grandparents' house. That was like one of the things that we could go do, and I sometimes wish it was still around. We do have one mini golf course though in my area.
Fun.
This is really relevant and really specific. They, like 2 or 3 days ago, closed the Poseidon Fury show and Islands of Adventure Universal. I would go back to, ironically, the cave. It's really cool
It's really
that you're in
cool.
line for. You just have this nice breeze. You're in like weird like Greek architecture stuff. There's like God stuff around. The lights are cool. I mean, you know what? I would just like to hang out there. I don't even need the show to be on.
Yep, I agree. That's my answer.
Yeah, my answer to my own question is when I was a kid, my dad was a high school teacher, and he was the basketball coach for a while there. He went down to the assistant coach to have more time with us, but he had his own separate room in his office. But he wasn't supposed to have all this stuff in, technically speaking. But he had all his long boxes there. He had all his notebooks filled with Phantom comic strips, with cryptozoology articles he printed off the internet, and that has since had to move elsewhere. Some of it is in our garage now, but it just doesn't have that same feeling when I was a little kid. If I could just open that long box, pick out a comic, and read.
Yeah, we do have yet another question from Christian.
Oh, that's me.
I'll be answering this one.
Okay.
I think we've done 3 since my last one.
Sure. Yeah.
If you could have one mundane superpower, what would it be? Teleportation.
Mundane.
How is that not mundane? What do you mean mundane?
That would change. Okay. I'll give 2 of my examples.
One.
No, I'll give 2 because I cheat. So my mundane one would be able to see your name over your head. Be like, okay, I remember your name.
That's a good one.
If that is too much of a superpower, which some would argue it would be whenever I eat something sweet, it would not change the taste of a soft drink or tea or something like that.
Okay. My mundane superpower then is to be able to see how much time everyone else has left to live on their wrist.
So we both asked for Shinigami eyes, but different powers in them.
Yeah. Well, mine's a movie, actually. I just haven't seen it.
That's a Justin Timberlake movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. What was that called?
I don't know.
In time.
Timeless?
Timeless, something like that. Yeah.
Out of time?
Time is like a currency.
I've created an entire character around my mundane power. I have two characters I've created.
Okay.
One is the Mad Hatter.
This is not.
My mundane power is I can just conjure whatever hat I want onto anyone for my own entertainment. Yeah.
These all sound like iFanboys.
Yeah. The other one, I would be the Silkworm, and I would have the power to make anyone's life slightly more inconvenient and feel annoyed at any moment.
All right. Yeah. Timeout.
We are at the 20-minute mark. Just as an update, we are at the 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty well.
Yeah. So one more viewer submitted question, and I think we're gonna skip this one. We're not gonna skip it, but I do know the exact answer.
Okay.
This says, "What's the difference between Baptist, Church of God? I assume he means of prophecy, Lutheran, etc. churches. Austin, that's what the show's about.
Austin, that's what the show is about.
You can find those answers by watching the whole.
Listen to the show.
Or looking it up on Wikipedia. You can answer that.
Well, I'll start. Okay, so these are all different denominations, and denominations came to being. All of them essentially came to being because Christians began disagreeing about what they believed in, and they started forming their own groups. So, for an example, when it comes to like Baptists, Baptists don't believe. I shouldn't say the words don't believe. One of the big things about Baptists is that they don't think it is necessary to have things like creeds or catechisms or other teaching devices that a Lutheran church like we are here at today would have. They would use creeds, they would use catechisms, which are just additional teaching sources. So that's like a little bit of a difference between Baptist and Lutheran. I will pass the mic, and if anybody wants to kind of fill in the gaps on a few other ones.
Real quick, I'll give Austin's answer to the superpower question, which is that he would have the power to think of a witty comment to every insult and backhanded compliment. Which, that's a very good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Basically, yeah, it's just all
Practice.
different doctrinal stuff. Like Brandon said, sometimes it's little stuff. Sometimes it's just stuff. It's like, I don't feel like people are caring enough about the gifts. We're going to start our own that super emphasizes that. Sometimes, it's like sacraments. Sometimes it's, you do baby baptism. I think that's awful. Sometimes it's like, you believe in predestination. Well, that takes away the need of salvation. I mean, there's just a bunch of different issues. And like TJ said, it's basically what our show's about. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. You keep that.
Okay.
We have another will question here.
Oh, Lord.
It reads, could God create a quantum particle that not even God could perceive? And he said, technically, it is a Bible story because of the mustard seed.
I don't know what a quantum particle is. I'm not qualified to
Okay.
answer this.
So a quantum particle is a particle that exists in two states at once, and it changes upon being observed.
I don't understand any of this.
The answer is no,
The
Will.
answer is no.
Why? No.
The answer is no, or it could be yes, depending on your philosophical, ethical framework in apologetics. Maybe a more familiar question that's not as complex as Will's would be, could God create a rock that even he himself couldn't pick up?
I was going to say, could God microwave a burrito that was too hot for even him to hold?
Yeah, it's along those lines. I don't know if you guys have come along those questions. It's one of those like seminary students and pastors like to like debate. And yeah, it does kind of matter because it does start speaking into things like God's omnipotence and what we think about his ability to create and be sovereign and to be all powerful, but also like at a very like street level like practicality reason, I don't think it really matters. But I would love to have had Will to like chime in on what he thinks about
I
it.
would also like to say, I feel like this one is different specifically because it is calling into question powers of perception. And if we're going to accept that he's omnipotent, then the answer has to be no.
But listen to our episode with Tom J. Ord if you want to learn more about omnipotence. However, I'm going to answer yes, God could create a rock he can't lift. Primarily, this is also, hey, Dummy for Theology, check out my theology podcast. But my thought process is basically God clearly has the ability to limit himself. He cannot lie. Thus, if he can limit himself, he should be able to create a rock that he is able to limit himself from being able to lift.
But he could still lift it. Thank you.
If he decided not to limit himself. It's
So, yes. He could
I'm going to
still
say
lift it.
no. He could create something that he is not able to lift simply because of his own limiting ability.
Because he doesn't want to.
No, I don't think it's not want to. I think he could literally constrain his own power.
So he can follow the rules that he established.
Not rules. He could physically constrain himself to not be able to lift it.
Yeah.
Or create something that
then
he cannot lift because
could
he's
just
able to create things he is not
Decide
able to
that
do.
he wanted to lift it.
If he can create humans that can lie, which he cannot do, that implies that he can create things that he cannot do, which implies he can create a rock that he cannot lift.
Well, I'll stop.
Yeah.
I'm done.
According to the rules you made.
This argument goes on forever. That's why that question sucks.
That is the subject
Yes.
of that.
We have a question from our good friend of the show, Brandon Knight.
He's on the show.
I'm a friend of your show.
Do you prefer Dunkin' or Starbucks? We'll go in order. Brandon.
Oh, okay. Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Yep.
I will admit I am a wee bit bougie, and given the option, I will take Starbucks, knowing good and well, though, that just about every week I go to Dunkin' way more because it's cheaper, and they have like cool rewards things on their app.
Yep. Christian.
Is this a coffee question?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Neither. I'm not a coffee guy.
You like donuts?
I would
or
go
like...
to Dunkin' before I went to Starbucks.
Okay,
for
Dunkin'.
donuts.
Okay.
Josh.
That's fair.
Yeah, it didn't specify coffee, so my answer is going to be Krispy Kreme.
No, it said Dunkin' or Starbucks. It actually didn't say anything about donuts.
Would you rather walk into a building called Dunkin' or Starbucks?
As a man who cannot afford Starbucks, I'm going to say Dunkin'. But Starbucks coffee tastes way better.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Starbucks. Good, well-sourced beans, caramel ribbon crunch. That's good.
Truth. He's spitting now.
Next question, final question from Will the Thrill from Chapel Hill. Should people who drive too slow in the left-hand lane be arrested? I would like to say no. Sometimes the right-hand lane scares me. Josh?
I'm simply going to agree with TJ because I think he has better opinions than me when it comes to traffic laws.
Arrested is too lenient to crime. The judgment for these evil crimes. I said the first time we'll give you off with a 10-year jail sentence. Then the second time around, well, execution by the state. There are no third strikes in this ballgame.
Federal?
Oh, definitely.
I will. I will literally split the vote on this, although I don't think it should be as extreme as my comrade is saying here. But yes, the left lane is for passing. So even though I am guilty of this, I am not going to put myself in an ivory tower. I do ride in the left-hand lane. It should be for passing. And then you make your move, and then you get back over. It works in Germany with the Autobahn, which I've learned is actually a road and not just a cool race thing.
Yeah.
Learned that pretty recently. I'm ashamed to say, everybody.
You never watched Oban Racer?
No.
Did you ever watch Oban Racer?
Surprise, last question.
Well, we have to-
Guys, this will be the last thing we do for this convention, and we're going to say goodbye to each other. This is a question that we stumbled upon with an episode with Sister Rose on the Whole Church podcast. We were trying to talk about some of the different ideas between Protestant and Catholic ideas of salvation. And we eventually kind of stumbled on really what it comes down to. The difference is that Catholics think you do good works as you accept salvation, and Protestants think you accept salvation, then do good works. How much does the order of good works and salvation happening, if we agree that both of those things should happen, how much does it matter what order it's done?
Not at all. Thanks for coming out, folks.
I agree.
I mean, as a progression of your sanctification, a progression of faith, definitely the good works come as a result of that salvation. And the intent to do good works in Christ instead of I'm doing this to look good or I'm doing this because I do feel a feeling that I want to help these people. That there's a very big difference between wanting to help and then wanting to help because you understand the totality of why you need to help.
I really like that. Yeah, I would say I think, just going off of my knowledge, I would say that the Bible does speak a little bit more into that second part of you need to be doing it on the second end. You know, like it's a little bit more of an expectation that if you are saved, you are going to do good works, if that makes sense. Whether the beforehand really does matter, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I think I would, where I'm at right now, I would just echo what Christian would just said.
To be clear, I agree with Christian's theological answer, but I will still stand my ground on I don't think it matters that much. If we're still accepting salvation and faith alone and also doing good works, that's awesome. I don't care what order you do it in.
Well, if you
type that 6 pages double space, I'll give you a grade.
Sick.
All right. Thank you so much
8 sources.
for being with us these couple of days. We had this convention. Every tribe, denomination, and tongue. It was so glad to welcome us all, each other here today and yesterday and the day before. And the day before, for some people. See you next year.
Lord bless y'all.
Howdy, folks.
Or goodbye, y'all.
Bowdy.
Bye, y'all.
I am very impressed we did that.